of global warming and greenhouse gases has been there for quite a while. Things are changing, and I hope that the world leaders will come to some action.
There has already been enormous progress in finding ways to prolong human life, and that progress will continue even though progress has enabled us to live longer, or maybe because progress has enabled us to live longer. Thank you.
Good morning. This is our first session in terms of Noble Vision, and right now we'll be talking about digital transformation of transport complex. I would say it's not just a fantasy. This is an integral part of our reality, and we have been keeping a very close eye on all the changes that we can see within transport infrastructure, and we are already participants of this process. And let's welcome our speakers of our first session: moderator Alexander Gurko, president and co-head of GLONASS, AUTONET, and our speakers Yevgeniy Charkin, deputy general director of Russian Railways, Mikhaylenko, managing partner at ROLAND BERGER, and Andrey Bolshakov, general director of Evocargo. Alexander, please, over to you. Good morning, dear colleagues. Welcome to our forum, Open Innovations. So I should say that today, within this session, we're talking about digital transformation within transport complex. I hope that it's going to be interesting for you. And today we have very interesting speakers. You know that we have Maria Mikhaylenko and Yevgeniy Charkin. They representative of big companies, ROLAND BERGER and Russian Railways correspondently, and Andrey Bolshakov, general director of Evocargo. Today we will be talking about different spheres of digital transformation, specifically as applied to transport infrastructure. We will be talking about the experience of the Russian Federation, but in general, this is dedicated to the development of digital technologies, transformation, and we will be talking about passenger transport infrastructure and many other issues. I should say that yes, it's very important to discuss all those issues because we're already participants of all those processes. Of course, we have been exposed to a number of constraints following also COVID-19, etc. But in general, the situation with the transport infrastructure is changing, and we can see right now a sprawl of different new means of transport, and also we can see also use of drones and unmanned vehicles. So today we have only 45 minutes, and of course we will stay focused on the major things, especially when it comes logistics, for example. So speakers today, they will extrapolate a little bit more on their vision regarding this particular sphere. They working in the sphere of consulting, and also they working with some practical issues, also development of new vehicles. Well, I should say that also, we have here a representative of Russian Railways, a big Russian company. I would like to give the floor to our first speaker, who is Maria Mikhaylenko, and she will share some insight, and we'll talk a little bit about some logistics-related issue. Actually, at least how it is organized at ROLAND BERGER. She will share some information also regarding their participation in the global markets. So, colleagues, good morning. Thank you very much for such an introduction. I would say that it's a great honor for me to participate in such a session and to talk about this particular context. Of course, it's going to be a very interesting discussion. I should say that a lot of changes are now happening within, for example, cargo logistics, and even now we right now live in an absolutely new paradigm in this world. And today I will try to touch upon some very interesting context just to set the pace for our discussion. And we'll try to explain how we, for example, work with highly automated vehicles and how we work with them in our reality. So I would like to also use some materials to tell you more about that. Today we'll be talking about perspective model and what we actually use. As for examples in the world in general, we have quite a few of them also in the Western world. Also, we have them in the Russian, within the Russian territory. And let's also talk about potential startups and launching of new projects. First of all, I would like to say that we have a number of automation, a number levels of automation. A lot of publications have been made regarding this issue. We have different discussions, but we need to understand what kind of automation we can talk about and how autonomous we are in our actions. We can see that as for highly automated vehicle, they have to correspond to the fourth level of atomicity, and they should be quite autonomous. There should be an opportunity to use them without any driver, while using some highways, some special corridors for that. At the same time, drivers, they can also be there in the car. And when we talk about how autonomous they are, this level classified for fourth level, this is something that should be there. What we see right now in Russia and also in the Western markets, it tells us that this growth or this development of unmanned vehicles and a higher level of automation, this is quite a global trend. I wouldn't just say that this is a trend. This is already an integral part of our reality, and it's happening thanks to a number of factors. First of all, we have a particular demand for autonomous vehicles, especially when it comes to cargo transportation, because it really increases and improves the level of security and safety, and also it allows consignors, for example, to cut down on some cost, optimized cost. Also, we understand that here we can minimize the so-called notorious human factor. Apart from that, we also can see that it's not just about independent or, I don't know, the level of autonomous existence of the systems. We already understand that these systems in general are quite stable, and manufacturers, for example, of different services, different, I don't know, ROLAND stocks, different vehicles, it gives them a great opportunity to really also optimize cost. We also should think about some sensor technologies. Radars, for example, they are now much more affordable for quite a big number of players. Well, this kind of trends or things allows many participants in different market activities to optimize costs, which is really great. And we shouldn't forget about legislative framework either, because right now a lot is being done to really assist manufacturers and players in this domain. We have already seen some great, I would say, tremendous changes in this sphere. When we look at different options and different variants that we have, well, if we talk about the first mile and the last mile of different highways or main lines, we can see different models and different technologies that from our perspective will be developed in the future, and of course they will be used very intensely. We have the so-called hub-based model or point-to-point model. Why? Because when it comes to hub models, there we have quite a positive effect, because trucks they can move without any driver along highway. So as a result, it has a particular impact on exploitation in general. But as for this model, hub to hub, also trucks they can actually transport goods in quite normal standard modes. So this model is really fast and efficient to launch, which is really important. Okay, on provision, of course, that we have all the conditions met and all the provisions in place. So yes, this is a completely brand new approach to the whole thing. What else can I say? Speaking about the current situation and different transportation models we have, yes, first of all, we have right now the so-called hub model or hub-based model, but of course roads they need to be better equipped with different means, with different hardware, and then we will be able also to proceed to point-to-point model as well. So I think that a number of players will and are supposed to appear in the near future. There should be some operators that could actually maintain and exploit such hubs. It's very important for infrastructure, specifically for unmanned vehicles, and the point is that it's very often about a certain issue and about the level of automation, something that I have already mentioned before. So it's going to be like a separate function, and it's being developed right now and tested based on the already existing model. Well, I would say that right now in future, I mean in Russia, we will see different models developed. For example, hub, they will be further developed and of course will be improved just to increase the performance. What about business models? Well, I'm sorry that I am talking about absolutely different things, about players, about different components. What I want to say is that this market is not that stable yet still, and it has not been fully formed. And if we talk about what we actually have right now, of course, first of all, it's very important to say that we have developers of, I don't know, different technologies, sensors. We have manufacturers of rolling stocks, of different vehicles that can be used pilotlessly. Of course, we also, by the way, going to have today representative of Evocargo. They will be also talking about their vehicles. We also have some new players. They don't have, for example, some technologies, but they are working with those companies developing these technologies. So we can see all those things. The market is really changing. We have, yes, developers of different technologies, not necessarily working within the transport infrastructure, but so far the market has not been fully formed. There will be a lot of players. They will be either disappearing, some of them will just soon appear in the markets. But something that we have already talked today, and we will be talking today about, is that, yes, we need to have special operators in place. We need to take into consideration the interest of all the parties. They are supposed to be directly involved in different processes. Yes, a lot of players, and it seems like we have all it takes to move in this direction. But at the same time, we also have to understand that we are working right now and operating in a completely new paradigm. Of course, a lot of companies, they are already at level 3, but still there is, of course, room for improvement, and I think that they are keenly aware of that. A lot of players already testing different technologies, sprawling around the territory of this country and just sprawling around the global level. So I would like to say that a lot right now depends on suppliers of different technologies rather than, for example, providers of standard services. But of course, manufacturers, vehicle manufacturers, they of course are also involved in all those processes. We will see how those partnerships will be forming, what kind of structure they will have. But anyway, at least now we understand that full-fledged development of the market requires a multifaceted approach. What about effects that we can see? For example, if we talk about unmanned trucks and well, it brings about a lot of positive changes and very positive effect on the market in general. We can see that, yes, we can optimize different costs, we can have a better turnover, we can implement some new autonomous technologies, which is really important. Well, as for transportation and cost optimization in general, it also has a very good impact because here we talk about wear and tear resistance, we talk about fuel consumption, and so on and so forth.
So it can be very significant, and if we speak about the middle-term perspective, we can say that we can have new business models, and there can be the increase of safety on roads, and then the secondary effects. So it's possible that maybe we will go from the railways then to other types of transport because there will be an increase of the efficacy. And then the consolidation of the industries of the transport and logistics services. So maybe it will be more effective because then there will be the effect of scaling, and then there is the start of the game of the efficacy. So the calculation is, you can see it at the example of this location. There can be a decrease of the cost, and it can be up to 25%. So here we calculate diesel transport. We don't mean here any new type of fuel. However, even here, we have an opportunity to decrease the cost. So now a few words about the development of the autonomous regime. So there is a certain volume of the cost that is given for these projects, and also the test spaces and the organization. So this is the testing of different technologies and also the piloting. So if we summarize all of this, we can say that trucks, drone trucks, they are not our future, they are our present. The players can also discuss the work with the operators and the cooperation of the operators. What we can hear from the participants of the market is that it can happen even if there is the minimum communication. It can be the economy 20-25%. And there is an additional positive effect, such as the attractiveness for foreign companies in case of the transport and the lack of the deficit for drivers. And still, we know that there will be economic effects. What is also very important to offer the operators of the transport, they want to have the provision of the safety, and also it's necessary to stick to the schedule. This is the factor that maybe stops everyone, and the high level of the integration with the players of the market, so that the system does not add any difficulties. So thank you. If you have any questions, so I'm ready to answer them. So thank you, Maria. But we think that maybe we will now move on, and then We'll try to leave some time for short questions. So now we have Andrey Bolshakov. Your presentation, please. Thank you, colleagues, for this opportunity to speak here. So I think that Maria spoke about our way forward. My company is also moving there. But I would like also to say a few words how we see the market. Could you show, please, the screen? My name is Andrey Bolshakov. I'm the founder of Evocargo company. It's the developer and the provider, and on the basis of drone electric transport platform. So we have been there for quite a long time, and we saw how the market of the drone technologies was developing, who was creating the drone technologies and who created some part of the infrastructure. No one could give the end service, but actually it's very important that the shipment is delivered and that something electrical is on the territory. So even the very successful experience of the implementation of drones then brought to the fact that then it was just staying there on some warehouse, so it was just a pilot sample. So that's why we offered to the market to give the service from the very beginning up to the end. We were the developers of the platform, starting from the motor and accumulator, and then the systems of autopiloting and the bodies. And then we moved on that we wanted to do the service from the beginning to the end. We supply the machine and part of the infrastructure, and also the system that is necessary to use around it, so that the machine can work here. So now we have two global models. One of them is EVO1, and the second one is EVO3. But EVO1 is a kind of a truck. This is the mass that can bring 1.5 tons, and it can have 3 different types. It can be a platform or a pickup, or it can be fully covered. And now we have the EVO3. This is a big truck that can actually put a lot of loads. So we are a suppliers of the service in general. That's why around our truck we have a lot of additional services that we need for the implementation, so that we can then do the transport. So the special team comes to the object with special devices that emulate it, and then it can create the digital twin of the object. So the digital simplifying of the object. And then on the digital map, we put the necessary infrastructure, and then the infrastructures for the connection, the visual infrastructure, everything that allows us to cooperate with the machine. And then we have the deep integration with the systems that exist now that we have for the client. So our task is to make the service so that the client does not see the difference between the use of the car and the drone that is taken from the depth of the systems. And then there are loads done. We can separately discuss how the system in the future is done, how the full integrated system looks like, and then it automatically goes to the point. So at the stage of the implementation, and we can say that now our technologies are like this, that the implementation doesn't take more than a week. So when we sign the agreement, then just in 1 week we have the digital twin and we prepare the infrastructure. And the machine is prepared, so they go on the second or on the third day in the autonomous regime. And then at the stage of the logistics service, we have a special set of software that allows to form the orders for the transport and fully control the routes for the drones that we have on the group of objects. And we have different integration on the system of electronic documents, because it's very difficult to give some papers or some information and save them somewhere. So our company was founded just a year and a half ago, when the decision was taken. The company was founded, and there were 15 engineers there. Now it's a company where we have more than 60 people who managed to create a fleet out of the machines, ever one, that are now given to the commercial structures for the use by different clients. And parallel, we have the development of infrastructure and the production technologies. So the aim is not only to do the service, but also we don't know the manufacturers of the drones and some capacities that we can do. So one of our tasks that is already fulfilled is the development of the production technologies where we can create the drones. Now we have about 100 drone machines, ever one, and we are going now to have more of them. So now our plan is the scaling of the implementation and also the implementation of big machine, so we can make the delivery point to point. When we have the regulation in Russia that is ready for it. So we can see the main characteristics of EVA 1. The total mass is 3.5 tons, and it can bring about 1.5 tons. According to the experience that we have already,
все-таки проектная 1,5 тонны.
So the project is 1.5 tons. The machine is fully electrical, and the distance from 100 up to 200 kilometers, depending on the load of the machine. And it's very important. So the machine has a regime that it can be charged from the charger, where you put on your smartphone. That will be the night charger. If you can have the overnight charger, then it's a very good opportunity. If you need to use the machine as long as possible, our target number is about 23 hours per day, then there can be the option fast charge and the function swap, where we can just change the accumulator. So simultaneously they work at the fuel element that now is offered by some of our clients as an option if they need to increase then the time of the charge. Regarding the internal content of the platform, as I've said, we do a lot of things ourselves. We have our own motor, we have our own solution connected with the batteries and with the parts together with the fuel element. So EVA 1 doesn't have any active sensors, so mostly it works with cameras. And besides, they have some coders and they have some system of global positioning. And we don't have, for example, radars there or something like this for the machines of this category. So we don't have it. And now we have EVA 3. And this is a puller, that the traction engine that will then can put up the loads of 200 or 21 tons. So we hope to use it in the future, also in different markets. Now for the basic kit, the distance will be about 250 kilometers. And now we try to analyze the technologies of fuel elements that are already worked for EVA 1, so it's an option. So now we try to work at the placing of batteries for EVA 3. So I would like to say a few additional words about the sources. So this is not only the basic care about green ecology, but there is a very interesting economic effect, because now hydrogen is more energy effective regarding the density in comparison with accumulators. That allows to win some time here, because at some moment, regarding the trucks, you still are transporters of some shares and not of the loads, if you want to go there. So, Andrey, sorry? It's a very interesting presentation. However, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time. That's almost the last slide now.
Да, ну на самом деле, да, это был как раз предпоследний слайд.
So it's the last slide, so thank you.
Извините, пожалуйста, к сожалению, мало у нас времени, да. Евгений, пожалуйста, ваши тезисы, что происходит?
So, Evgeny, please, a few words from you. What happens with the digital transformation in RGD? Evgeny, please. So, thank you for this opportunity. Despite we have some apocalyptic forecasts of Maria, I have a more optimistic vision. So we are moving forward on the digital transformation with a combination of the developments that we have now for the sustainable development. So then it will decrease the capacity of our transport. We believe in it. And I can tell you that now we have an increase of the supply for this type of transport. The demands has changed because of the pandemic. Clients need more and more electronic documents, simplicity of the service, and multimodality. So if we speak about the numbers, then we know that now in truck transportation, many of our clients, they work with RGD electronically, and we very actively develop the integrated system of cooperation with the clients. We have the modules that are responsible for one databases, and we started the service of monitoring of smart contracts. We very actively develop the project of the digital station. We can see here the common ground with the clients who are working with the drone transport. So the task is to create the service for the participation of people, bringing of the load, and the implementation of multimodality. If we speak about the digital station, we have modules of planning, 60 stations. So it's the first stage for the development of the digital station. So we have now an increase of the supply for electronic services. Just in the first 6 months, we have an increase of the number of the clients. And we have a very similar trend also for the public transportation, because there is also an increase for the supply for electronic services, for the purchase of touristic services. So the trend is like this. We should not forget about the structure. We have a few important moments here. This is the development of the digital pro platform, of the line structure. And here, the key trend is that we decrease now the service and the use of the respective model. So in this direction, Would you do a big work to implement the internet service and also to use the technologies, working with big data for the analysis?
So correspondingly here is the key task is to use the efficiency of the model at all the life cycles and to control all the processes involved. It's very important from the point of view of utilization and maintenance. If we talk about digital twins of railways, for example, here we work with different breakthrough technologies, big data, blockchain, and later on I will extrapolate a bit more on that. We here also, if we talk about global level, then we understand that hype has been decreasing recently. Still, we can see a number of spheres where technologies of, for example, distributed register is still used, and it has a particular economic effect. And based on blockchain, we based different services, for example, smart contracts. We also use it for rolling stocks and for actually registration of different cars. So it is a continuous approach. It is used within Russian railways, and also it is used by a number of operators. Again, if we talk about artificial intelligence, then again we can see quite tremendous effect. It's a part of digital transformation in a number of spheres. I'm talking about technical side of the matter, about diagnostics, and also recognition of, for example, drivers, operators, etc. It allows us to work with a more high-tech approach. We can already see a certain impact, and yes, right now we have a prototype of a digital assistant. It is also a very important function. We also worked with special predictive model for different railways, and there we receive quite prompt information about dynamics regarding circulation of rolling stocks, and we are going to boost this number further on and work with different predictive models, not just this one, and the use of such prototypes used in our work allows to improve the performance of different models of different parts of railway system in general, and well, it could really boost the overall effect derived from the use of the technologies. If we talk about, for example, unmanned railways and rolling stocks, you know that we have a special project in place right now. Lastichka, it was presented in Sherbenka. We are ready to work with this product, and I think that it should be put into operation in the near future. We already have a particular normative basis for that, and apart from that, producers of locomotives, they are also interested in this thing, and also we have a special project in place that is meant specifically for rolling stock operators or drivers. It is used within the Kursk railway. Correspondingly, well, this project also includes quite a number of components. So first of all, it includes a special monitoring system, also some assistance, and like I previously said, the most important thing is that here we use a particular continuous approach meant for rolling stocks, meant for control system used at different stations. And also we are working a lot on multimodal transportation. Thank you very much. It's really great that you have quite applied approach to that. It's not just about digitalization, but it's about tackling some particular issues. Well, I would like to address the short question to you, and I would like to give you a very short answer. As for Internet of Things, well, of course, in order to work with big data, we should aggregate, accumulate this data, and then develop some practical solutions based on that. But what about unmanned piloting? So have you managed to solve any specific issues? Well, I would say that we have a fully integrated approach, quite a comprehensive one. We have different technologies already in place. We used, for example, AUTONET. We use a lot of different things. Not to mention that, yes, we have a continuous approach. First and foremost, we analyze the economic effect or impact on our activities and what different technologies can do about that. I have a question for Maria and Andrey. We have a lot of questions in our web chat, but we are not, unfortunately, able to answer all of them because we're running out of time. So one question for Andrey and Maria. Well, apparently, unmanned vehicles, they are really well, efficient, so to speak. They help us to improve performance. We also can optimize costs. It might have a very positive impact on average salaries for all those involved in this sector. So when we talk about economic performance or efficiency of these vehicles, how it could actually be further improved? We know that we have high technologies, but at the same time, fuel is not that expensive. I mean, on provision that we meet these conditions. A very good question. In fact, right now, we are paying a lot of attention to our economic models and economic estimations. So according to us, as for closed territories or for example, smaller vehicles, even in Russia already we can see a very good performance of the fleet. It has already been tested in a number of locations. As for the Western world, there the impact is even more tremendous. But even in Russia, we already have a very positive economic impact. So right now, we also need to think about infrastructure and availability of infrastructure. So far, we're waiting for decent electricity supply and for cheap hydrogen, just to strike the right balance between environmental and economic sides of the matter. As for example, cost optimization. Well, anyway, it can already be seen. I just want to add something on top of that. In Russia, all these scales or leverages, something that really allows us to improve economic performance, it is already there. We just need to keep on working on that. So as for slides, you talk about the so-called breakthrough effect for logistics. I would say that actually today's hype could really undermine traditional conventional economy, and in order to prevent this kind of things, we need to think about the economic effect of the whole thing, especially if we talk about fourth level of automation when we still have a driver in the vehicle. So anyway, thank you very much, dear colleagues. We really ran out of time. We were supposed to finish this session a couple of minutes ago, but unfortunately, we don't have enough time to cover all the issues. We have a lot of technological questions in the chat, both for Maria and Andrey. And then I think that just as part of our routine work, we will try to cover all of these questions. Thank you very much for your efforts. Thank you very much for your project, and we hope that multimodal transportation will take over, and the use of unmanned vehicle will not have a detrimental effect on other types of transport. Thank you very much. I hope that this session was interesting for you. Thank you very much, and see you.
транспортно-логистический холдинг «Российские железные дороги». Мы развиваем транспортную инфраструктуру страны, строим новые станции, вокзалы и создаем новые возможности для вашего бизнеса. Лучшие скоростные и высокоскоростные поезда сделают ваше путешествие комфортным и безопасным. Мы – локомотив экономики. Сотни миллионов тонн грузов ежегодно. Развитие науки и социальной сферы – это наш вклад в благосостояние страны и ваша уверенность в завтрашнем дне.
Я новая Hyundai Creta. Hyundai.
Есть история фантастическая. Есть история сказочная. Есть страшная история. А есть история реальная. Вьюка всегда реальная история и диагностика автомобилей с пробегом. Юка – официальный сервис Hyundai. Смотрите историю.